Basketball Manitoba podcast, we have Ashley Hoitink. She joins us fresh off her appointment as the head coach of the 17U Female Provincial Team and is gearing up for the up-and-coming Canada Games. Native of St. Anne, she's been coaching for 12 years, coaching at the Team Manitoba, high school, club, WMBA, and Steve Nash Youth Basketball levels. She is currently an assistant coach under Michele Sung at the University of Manitoba and the head coach of the Varsity Girls team at the Pembina Trails Collegiate. She also served as the Varsity Boys coach at Morden Collegiate for 7 years. She played high school at St. Anne Collegiate and played 2 years at Red River College. She's been a recipient of the Bulloch Coaches Award for contributions to basketball, the 2019 MHSAA Female Coach of the Year among all sports, and the 2023 Canada Basketball Mike McKay Transformational Coach Award. Ashley, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so I have to bring this up. I said I wasn't. I lied. I apologize, but you and I share something in common. I always share a few things in common. First thing is when I was coaching at CMU, you were a player at Red River, so we found that out. I also interviewed Cheryl Jean-Paul for this podcast. She was one of the early guests, and I actually played at U of M when Cheryl was there. But that's not what I was talking about. I was actually talking about the fact that a lot of people mess up our last names. And it's a very, very common thing. And so before we went live, I practiced your name how many times?
Numerous.
Hoitink. I got it though.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'll never make that mistake. So, well, I shouldn't say never, but no, we appreciate you taking the time to come on the podcast. I also told you on the podcast, you're one of the few guests that I have no knowledge of. Like, I don't know you. We have not met as far as I know. And, but you're an integral part of the basketball community. As you said in the bio there, you've been very, very active. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. So I'm going to start up by asking you the following, provincial team. So you're the head coach. So right now you just went through the interview process essentially, and you just got assigned. How long ago did you get assigned?
I know we had like our team meeting beginning of March with all the coaches.
Yep.
So sometime maybe February.
Okay.
We had to apply in December.
Okay. So when you apply, did you apply as a solo or do you apply with assistants?
I applied with assistants.
Okay. So what is your coaching staff?
My assistant coach is Kelly Sanok from Sanford, and our manager is Autumn Agar from, she's currently playing at U of M right now.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I know Kelly. She's been in the game for a while. No? Yeah, awesome. That's sweet. And then Canada Games?
Yeah, so we have a 2-year contract. So this year we're at 17U Nationals, and then next summer, 2025, we'll be at Canada Summer Games.
Awesome. That's going to be sweet. That's going to be so good. I got to experience it as a player, and it was like amazing. And so it's going to be awesome. And then, so where are Nationals this year?
Both years it's in Newfoundland.
Oh, really? So it's like the same, just happens to work out that way?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they are taking this year to like practice and get ready for Canada Games, like tryout hosting, and see how that operates, kind of like a build-up, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. That should be cool. In Newfoundland. That's have you been to Newfoundland before?
I haven't. I'm very excited.
Nice. It's gonna be awesome. I remember the good old provincial team coaching days. So before this though, you said you were an assistant, right? With the provincial team?
Yeah. So the last 2 summers I was with Eric Sung as an assistant coach on 17U. Nice. And then back in 2019, I was an assistant coach for Sonia Ratty for Western Canada Summer Games. Yes.
Okay. So you've not been to a Canada Games yet then?
No.
Okay. So you missed, because then that's actually going to be 5 years away. If it was the year before, would have been Canada Games, probably that year before that one that you did the Westerns, I guess. I don't know how it works, but it's every 4 years, right?
Yeah. And then I think, it was supposed to happen during COVID and it got pushed back a year. And then Alyssa Cox now coached it. And it was 18U at the time because of that COVID year.
Yes. Okay. That makes sense. Yes. I remember that. Cool. Well, it's exciting. Provincial team stuff is super exciting. So I remember, but you live in the city now, obviously,
right? Or do you drive in? I live just outside the city.
Okay.
I couldn't fully commit.
You're like, I'm not a city person. So where like what's the drive in? Like what are we talking?
Oh, like I live in St. Adolphe. It's like 15
Oh, okay.
minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
you're good. But Pembina Trails Collegiate, brand new school.
Yes.
Uh what's it like to be at a brand new school with the gym and the facilities and everything like that?
It's pretty crazy. It's a lot of obviously you're going to have growing pains.
Mhm.
Brand new building, brand new staff. We don't have any grade 12s this year.
Really?
Just to ease into a brand new building, not pulling any kids from their school
Yes.
in their grade 12 year. Um, so yeah, you're hosting all the sports teams that you would normally host, but now you're limited with the range of kids that you can choose from.
Yeah. Interesting. So what's the oldest kids? Are they like 11th grade, 10th grade,
Yeah. Yeah. So
11th?
we have grade 11s or 9 to 11, and the class sizes get smaller as you go up. So our 11s are our smallest, and then
Wow.
so on.
What's the do you know what the capacity of that school is?
I don't know the capacity. We're just over 700 kids right now,
Okay.
and we are expected to be over 1100 next year.
Oh wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
it's wow. So it's gonna be a big one. It's gonna be a
Yeah.
powerhouse. I know it. It's probably gonna have some good programs. Hey, as the years go on, and you have a growing population like that and everything. It's exciting times to be at a school like that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you get to establish culture, right? Like you're
Yes.
starting with a fresh slate.
Yes, 100%. But you're not a phys ed teacher, are you?
I'm not.
Yeah, okay. So are you close with the phys ed teachers there?
Yes, they are amazing. I actually teach mostly computer science.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah,
you're like nowhere near the gym.
nowhere. I'm on the opposite side of the building.
That's awesome. Do any of the coaches help or the phys ed teachers help you coach?
So Cheryl McComb is one of our phys ed teachers, and she's
Okay.
coaching the JV girls team this past year.
Okay, nice.
She's amazing. She's a U of M alumni.
Mhm. Nice.
Um, and then my assistant coach played basketball, but she is actually like a top boxer in Manitoba.
Oh,
Bailey Riffle.
oh wow.
She's part of like boxing Manitoba and
Okay,
like
interesting.
a crazy athlete.
Nice. That's cool. That's cool. Nice, nice. Well, you mentioned that you couldn't commit fully to the city. So obviously you are what would you say? Would you consider yourself a country person? Is that how you'd say it? Rural
Yeah,
person, obviously, but
yeah. I grew up on a dairy farm
okay,
outside
so
of St. Anne.
you're
Yeah, I
literally
am. I
literally the
am.
country person. Okay.
Yeah,
Amazing, amazing. So the question, I always ask when we start getting into this, because I want to kind of get into your story and how you got to where you're at now is, um, how'd you get into basketball? Like, what are some of your first memories? Obviously, you were out in a place where there's not a lot of people. How'd you get into the game?
so growing up on the farm, you just had a bunch of sports that, like, I have two older brothers. They
Okay.
are 11 and 12 years older. So their joke is that I'm almost a single child, like playing by
Yeah.
myself. So you're throwing a baseball off the milk house to catch in your glove because you have to play by yourself. And then I really wanted to play basketball when I was a kid, and my dad said, "Okay, I got an old rim kicking around. I'll drill it to a 2x4 on the side of the milk house. And like, if you like it, then we'll." It was always like, "If you like it, then we'll look into getting you something
Yeah, yeah.
we'll pay money for something." So like, you're trying to shoot with a 2x4 and it's zinging off if you miss, it's zinging off the corner,
Hold
and
on, your
like, you're
backboard was the 2x4?
correct. Yeah. And then you're like, you're dribbling on gravel, like we don't have a cement pad, and like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So then eventually did that a bunch, and he found some old net that has like the weight, like the weight on the bottom,
Yeah.
set that up on the one cement pad we had outside the shop. And then that's where I played uh lots in rubber boots.
Wow. But by yourself. This is like completely
Yeah, like
solo.
my brother would come play every once in a while, but
Yeah.
yeah, mostly I'm by myself. And then
Interesting.
yeah, in St. Anne there wasn't really much there. Like, it was a K to 8 and then a 9 to 12 in the same building, like they're
Hmm.
attached.
Hmm.
So I played grade 7, 8 basketball, but it wasn't anything amazing. Like I just was this tall, lanky kid. Like I was 5'10" at 12 years old, and
Mm.
like so was not coordinated. And then yeah, that moved into high school. Um, Luckily, when you're double A, you can play both. Like in grade 10, I played JV and varsity.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Really?
'cause so if you're a double A or a single A school, you can play both
Interesting. At the same
with
time,
them.
like same year.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So my
But hold
grade,
on, how does that even work though? Because like if you have games, do you like
yeah,
commit to one, or do they make the schedule so that people can play both?
yeah. So usually how it would work is like whatever, Monday, Wednesday would be your varsity games, Tuesday, Thursday is your JV games, right?
Got it.
So, and then for the most part, we would just all practice together, like JV and varsity.
Yeah,
Sometimes
okay.
you have separate practices, but and then we would play community together. So on Sundays we were playing. So you're playing like 5 to 6 to 7 days a week,
Oh,
depending if you have
wow.
a tournament or not, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I definitely remember being in grade 10 and like passing out in chapters in St. Vital Mall because we had two tournaments, a JV and a varsity that weekend, and
Wow.
you're just like taking a nap in between games,
Oh,
but
wow.
you get to play a lot of basketball.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, you're definitely playing a lot. But so you said that you played like at that time you played some community club as well. So were you playing like fall league in community club, like in the WMBA type thing, or?
Yeah. So
Oh,
at the time, our coach basically made like a St. Anne team, which I think you can't do anymore, and that might have a lot to do with him, where
who
he
is your
would just
coach? Who is your coach?
his last name is Verhoog.
Okay.
They're like, I don't know, they're this huge family that like
Okay.
just love basketball.
Okay.
And yeah, so we would play together on Sundays, but we look like the St. Anne community team, but really it's
Yeah.
just our high school team.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean, like you would be the St. Anne community team probably, anyways. Like
maybe.
there's
Yeah,
not that many people playing, right? So
right,
it's like it's kind of like only there's so many people there that actually want to play basketball.
right.
So that makes sense. So hold on. So you start playing with the 4x4 as your backboard, but like, why do you even want to play basketball of all sports? Like, do you remember what like drew you to the game?
Um, I just played like for fun at home, and then I remember I played in 7, 8, like played everything, and then in grade 9, I again tall. All I could do was rebound. I had a horrible shot. I remember, like offensive board, two hands over the head, so
Oh yeah,
bad.
just
Like
go like one of those ones.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. And then like our grade 9 year, I remember was so horrible. Like lost terribly every day or every game, and I wanted to quit because I was like, this isn't fun. Like I don't want to lose all the time.
yeah.
And yeah, then I don't know if it was like there was just a group of us that really wanted to play, or like we were like, oh, we'll give it another shot. Like we'll try in grade 10.
Hmm.
And then like every year you just got a little bit better. And like I still played other sports, but I guess basketball is where I found some success.
Mm.
So I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
wanted to keep pursuing that, I guess.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. Totally makes sense. So anyways, so grade 10, you're like, hey, let's run it back, let's play.
Yeah.
Were you playing with like kind of like the same group of like your teammates were the same people and you just kind of were all moving up, playing community, playing JV, playing varsity. Well, some of them were playing varsity and stuff like that, and you kind of just kept moving up together.
Yeah. So again, based off size of school, like you are all playing all sports. Because
Yeah.
if you're not, like that sports team isn't happening.
Yeah.
So we had like a couple people on our team that were like, I really like volleyball. Like you have to come play volleyball and then I'm gonna come play basketball.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like those kind of situations, like if you don't play, there's no team. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's community right there. Well, so how many people, well, I'll just ask you this, how many were in your graduating class?
oh, somewhere in the 60s, maybe,
Okay. Yeah. So that
somewhere
makes
around
sense.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Everyone's got to step up to support everyone else's wants.
Yeah.
Otherwise, no one does anything.
Right. I still
Yeah.
remember playing like fast pitch in grade 12 and had never played, but they just were like, we really need someone. And I'm like, all right, but your expectations better be real low right now.
Oh, wow. So anyway, so yeah, so how did the rest of your high school career go? I guess the question is like, when did you kind of you started enjoying basketball, but when did you maybe take it more seriously? Like, hey, like this is actually like the sport I like playing the most.
Yeah, like I think that grade 10 year helped so much because I got to play against varsity age players.
Mm,
Like it's always, I think when you are playing basketball, it's you get these little like peaks. You're like, oh, I'm like really good. And then all of a
mhm.
sudden you play somebody else, you're like, nope, never mind.
Yeah, I suck.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the peaks and the valleys. And that that grade 10 year, I think, really set me up for grade 11 in terms of like, okay, we think we have something here, like me and that
Mm,
group of people. If we keep working really hard, I think we can do something.
hmm.
So grade 11, I don't know. I was still in this mindset that like rule basketball is like I'm too scared to go to the city to do anything.
Mm.
I think we went to a couple, me and some other players went to a couple camps, but like didn't really put ourselves out there. And I think a lot of it had to do with we just didn't know.
Mm.
Like things have changed drastically since then when it comes to rule, but even going to like provincial team tryouts, I think I went and like turned and left. Like
Really?
saw like however many 7,500 kids in there and was like, nope.
Wow. Yeah. I could see how it would be intimidating though, right? Like again, you coming from a small community. It's 60
Yeah,
people in your graduating class.
right.
And now it's like, yeah, I'm gonna go in this gym with all these people. And like, yeah, I could see
Yeah.
that being tough. So then how'd you guys do? Like what was the rest of the your high school career like?
Yeah. So I think grade 11 won like consolation. Like every year we just got a little bit better. And then in grade 12, um, there was always this zone 13 rivalry between us and Niverville.
Mm.
And if anyone knows Brittany Adrian, she was a baller and she played for Niverville. And yeah, we lost to them in zone finals and then ended up getting the wild card and ended up meeting them again in provincial finals and lost again.
Ah, tough. That's tough. That was your grade 12
So
year?
that
That
was
was
my
like your
grade
last
12
year?
year.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So then okay, so then obviously you play out here, but like, we talked like in the intro there, you ended up playing at Red River for Cheryl
Yeah.
Jean Paul, and you did that for 2 years. So how was that right after high school? Did you take some years off? Like when did you actually go to play at Red River?
Yeah. I went to U of M for a year. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I kind of knew I wanted to be a teacher, but I thought, oh, I'll go the phys ed route.
Mhm.
Went to U of M for a year and just bombed. Memorizing joints and muscle groups and all of that was not in my wheelhouse. And during that year, I was still living in St. Anne because it's a pretty close drive, and I coached the JV girls team there.
Okay.
And that's when I was like, yeah, I really want to be a teacher. Like, I know this teaching this next group. I really want to do this.
Hmm.
So um, I realized after that U of M wasn't for me. It's a huge school. And then there's this joint program between Red River and U of W called Business Technology Teacher Education. And they
Hmm.
also have like an industrial arts side as well. So that's how I got into Red River. And then I'm pretty sure I just went to like open tryouts in September and just tried out.
That was it. And you're like on the
Yeah.
team, made it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's sweet. And so how was your time there? Because I know Cheryl. Obviously she's I don't know. I mean, I know she's evolved. I don't know if she's changed her personality, but like, she can be hard. I think she's she can be nice, but she can be very hard and very direct. And
Yeah.
I mean, she's obviously like gone on a long time ago and to coach at higher levels and stuff, but was once in your shoes, like she's coached provincial teams and all that stuff. So like I guess the question is like, would you consider her one of your mentors with regards to basketball that kind of got you into like coaching more? Yeah, tell me a little bit more about that, the time there and your relationship with Cheryl.
Yeah, I would say uh Cheryl probably made me cry more than I have as a player, and I mean that in the best way possible because she
Cut that. Send it to Cheryl right now. Love it.
because she had like expectations for me that
Yeah.
I think, especially in rule where there's no cuts, like you can just kind of get away with stuff, right?
Mm,
Like you might have expectations, but your coach asks you to do something, you're like, nah, like I'm gonna
yeah.
do what I want. At the time, I think I'm
Yeah.
really good, right? Like, and Cheryl was like, no, like you're not great. Like,
Yeah.
and she was my first female coach as well, which
Mm,
I didn't realize until later that that was a huge thing for me as well. And yeah, I still remember in my second year, I hurt my ankle at practice, the last one before we left for Calgary. And I've rolled my ankle tons.
mhm.
And I went home thinking, like, oh, I'll just wrap it. It'll be fine. And I showed up at the airport limping. And she yelled at me in front of everybody, asking why I hadn't seen a doctor and why wasn't I on crutches. And I said back to her, I grew up in the country. We don't go to the doctor. She didn't think that was very funny. And she said that, I think she said something like, you're lucky I'm letting you go on the plane right now.
Wow. Wow. I love it. Oh
But
man.
yeah,
So,
it was a full circle moment for me like 2 summers ago because she was like a mentor coach for
mm,
Team BC. So that was like the first time I had seen her in person, I don't know, in a decade at least.
yep.
So it was nice to just say, "Hey, like you're one of the reasons that I'm doing this. Like you kind of gave me the kick in the butt when no one else did and like set me off on this little journey that I'm on."
Interesting. I mean, saying that, like, how exactly, like, what other influences did she give, like, bestow upon you, I guess, or experience did she give you that kind of pushed you towards coaching more?
I don't know if it was coaching, but she just so growing up, rule didn't really play any man to man, so that was a new concept for me.
Mm,
And I really loved blocking. That was fun for me. I wasn't an offensive player by any means, and she always kept telling me to be proactive instead of reactive, and that's
mm,
something that has stuck in my head this whole time. Whether it's committing to help side or just in general. um, and that can go to like having difficult conversations or things like that. I really try to like nip it in the bud before it turns into something
nice.
bigger.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that because I mean, in that same note, I mean, I'm curious because we might as well just go here. Is what are some of your coaching values? I mean, clearly that's something that you maybe took from Cheryl. You kind of said, okay, I have a philosophy. You deal with it now, or you deal with it later. You're gonna deal with it, but if you deal with
Yeah.
it later, it's probably gonna be way worse. And so, what other types of coaching values or philosophies would you say at the top of your list when you're coaching a team?
Yeah. So I wouldn't say I've changed my philosophy the last year or two, but it's definitely evolving. I was really when I coached the varsity boys for so many years. I had heard Mike McKay talk like, I don't know, 2015, 2016 about that he was so involved with women's basketball because they were the future mothers of athletes or potential
Mm,
athletes. And at the time, I had just started coaching boys. And I thought, like, man, these kids, depending what they do, like, they could be great husbands, they could be bad husbands, they could be good
mm,
fathers, they could be bad fathers, like, totally depending on the people in their life.
mm,
And that was something that was always at the forefront of my mind was like, you have to help develop them to be people or
mm.
adults. And I think that goes for a lot of teachers in general, not just coaches, is like you are a big part of their day to day life, whether you're coaching or teaching them. And like all anything that you do helps or doesn't help them become adults. And that's
Wow.
something that's kind of stuck with my philosophy in general.
Yeah, yeah, that's big time. That's yeah, that's getting the point of it all right there. Right? Like, 'cause, I mean, I've heard this from so many people, like, and they said like once you understand it has nothing to do with basketball, like you'll really start to have just success generally. And they don't mean wins or losses, but just success, right? And you understand it's a people thing. That's the
Yeah.
game you're playing. You're playing a people game, not basketball is just like an expression of that game.
Yeah. Yeah. And like now moving to coaching women, I guess exclusively, it's like I just meet these girls that haven't really played very much, especially at Pembina Trails Collegiate, and trying to give them confidence. But this idea that this confidence is going to translate to other areas of their life, not just on the basketball court.
Hmm.
So that was a big motivator for me this year, especially starting with a brand new school and a brand new team.
Hmm. Yeah, that's big time. So then how does that look? Like, can you give me an example of what that would look like with regards to like how you run a practice or like a little thing that you demand of them? Just any examples that come to mind with how that actually looks in real life with regards to how you execute your practices or your team?
Yeah, I think my players would say I have pretty high standards overall, and it's more to do with like expectations. Like I have this expectation of you to behave like to have this responsibility in your life or this kind of respect or anything like that, and to hold yourself to that standard. And I've had some boys come to me after graduation and just kind of, especially my COVID group that I call them, that like not a lot of people in their life, depending on their home or whatever situation, they just didn't have those people holding them to standards. So to have someone do that at the time, I feel like a jerk, and I feel like I don't think maybe I'm not helping in this situation, but I think reflecting back, then they kind of see that that was actually a good thing.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, 100%. 100%. I'm smiling because I've had the experience myself on both sides as a coach, but then also as the young person who, like you're kind of saying with Cheryl, giving you that lesson, right? Just understanding that, but you understand how important it is. I think that's the big thing. What I'm hearing from you, and that's so important because I've talked to some people, and they don't figure the thing out that you figured out till even much later. Like they say they were chasing wins and they were doing all this stuff, and it took them a while to get to the point of understanding that this is more of a game of not that they didn't support people, but it wasn't like their main intention, right? And I think if you can put the person first, you're going to get more buy-in, better experience, all that, and then you're going to have those people them come back to you later, even in those hard times. They come back to you and they thank you for that, right? They're grateful that you took a stand. I feel like there's this thing that people want, like whether they consciously want it, there's like a subconscious of them, like, no, I want somebody to hold me accountable, even if they fight it. It's like they need it, they want it, but it's like they're not used to it, so they rebel back. But deep inside, they're like, oh, that person, I like that person.
Yeah, and it sometimes they don't see it till later.
Yeah,
Then yeah,
yeah. And it takes a while because at first they might think, oh, this person, like they're just mean or they're just, but when you are consistent, because you know that like you're actually doing it for their like for them and just for their values and understanding who they are, you're not doing it to like extract something from them, right? You're doing it because you want what's best for them. After they're gonna, of course, they're gonna come full circle and be like, oh, like it might be 5 years later, you might run into them, and like you run into Cheryl, it might be something like that. You're like, hey, look, thank you so much. And I don't coach anymore. I used to coach, and I've had people run into me, full like they're adults now, 30-year-old guys, and they're like thanking me for something, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, yeah, like no, thank you, but I
yeah,
totally I totally know where you're coming from. It's a very um the position that you're in as a coach and as a teacher is one that like you can't take it for granted what like the value that you um can give to like a youth, right? It's just you can be so impactful. So that's good. Okay, so you mentioned that as kind of like maybe like your one of your major pillars of your program. when it comes to just like your general, like, let's say, philosophies as a coach, when it comes to like on the court, do you have a specific style you like to play, or you just kind of go with the flow? Like, talk to me a little bit about that, like your actual, like, if you had the most ideal team. I'm gonna ask you actually a hypothetical here. If you could create an ideal team, what type of basketball would you play, both defensively and offensively?
Um, I've always I've always liked lanky kids, and maybe that's because I was a lanky
That's
kid,
good to say.
but I don't know. There's some like the kids that are long and like can get deflections, and then
Mm,
that turns into your offense. Like those are always the kids that I've been more drawn to.
mhm.
Um, I don't know if I have a reason. Maybe I don't know if it's because that's what I was.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess that idea too to tie into that is like just because this kid is long or tall, like they're not like my coach tried to make me a post player in
Mm,
high school
mhm.
and it wasn't gonna happen. Like I loved rebounding, but I also I didn't really like to like play
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it just wasn't gonna be for me. And some kids are shorter than me and they love it. Like they
Hmm.
love to play inside.
Hmm.
So I've always been a big advocate too of like, where does this kid want to play?
Mm,
And how can I make a system work for the kids that I have? I don't know. I really like learning and I like finding out new, whether it's offense or defense or anything like that. And then does that apply to the group I have?
mm. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So it's yeah, it's kind of pushing yourself outside your comfort zone too. It'd be easy to go to the offense or defense that you know and make it work. Or like, I don't know, let's try something new and see what happens.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that. I love it. That flexibility. So I want to actually go back. So you finished playing Red River. We talked about Cheryl. She was a big influence on your coaching and all that. But how did you actually get in? Like, why did you? At what point did you decide to coach? Because you said before you went to Red River, you actually started coaching.
Yeah, I did a year with some JV girls.
Yeah.
I was bad, but I was 18, so I'll give myself that.
Yeah.
And yeah, after I finished at Red River, I was obviously in school still, so I coached like a couple teams with WMBA. I did like 11-year-old girls team and like an 8-year-old boys team, and it was like more so to do with I think at the time, hey, this can be something to put on my resume as a teacher. I
Mm-hmm.
still get to kind of play basketball, but it's pretty low commitment. It's like 2 days a week. I can still work and go to school. And yeah, I did that and it was really fun. And then I graduated. I got a job in Morden right away and I coached the varsity girls there for a year. And it was more like, hey, you have a basketball background. Like the original coaches wanted to take a year off to work on their masters. They're like, can you take this on? And I said, I'm a first year teacher on a term contract. I'm like, yep, whatever you need me to do. And yeah, I had a group of girls that were great. And then that term ended. I went back home, hung out in my parents' basement for a few months and subbed. And then that person left permanently in Morden. So I went back to Morden and the only team that was open that fall was JV boys. So I said, sure, like I'll do it again. And I don't know, it was just always a thing like, yeah, I'm a teacher in the building. I'm not really interested in other sports. I'd like to coach. And yeah, those JV boys wanted me, they were a bunch of grade 10s, wanted me to move up with them to varsity. And then I was hooped. And then I was in it.
So then is that pretty much when you like, because now again, you're coaching provincial team, you're coaching at the U sport level. Was that kind of when you just said, okay, I'm taking this seriously at that point?
I don't know if it was if I can't really pinpoint a time I ever said I'm going to take this seriously.
Hmm.
I'm still
Interesting.
even now I'm in the mindset like I can't believe this is like I always talk about like imposter syndrome.
Hmm.
I'm still in the mindset of like, are they sure like that they want me to do this? Like I'm still in that and I
Yeah.
obviously try to push those thoughts away, but yeah, I was never, yeah, like I took on the varsity boys. I want to say that was around 2016,
Hmm.
and then did that for a few years. Like people are kind of in the rule settings, like, oh, you're doing great things with them.
Hmm.
You're like, yeah, sure. Maybe we haven't won anything, but sure. Because that's always, even though you talk about the kids too, you're like,
Yeah,
always as a coach, you're like, yeah,
sure,
but like, what's the
for
wins
sure.
and losses? Still is
Yeah,
always in the back of your mind,
yep.
right? And yeah, then 2019 rolled around, and that's when I was like, I'm gonna apply for provincial team because there was the Western Canada Games, so it was 15U, 16U, 17U. So I thought my chances are better. There's an extra team here.
Hmm.
And then yeah, called for an interview. And then that's when they paired Sonia and I up as Sonia Reddy as head coach and me as assistant coach. And then that's when I was like, oh, I like this. Like,
Mm.
I want to keep pursuing provincial team. Like,
Mm.
um, the drives were killer, but
Yeah,
yeah,
but clearly worth it because you kept doing it and you're still
yeah,
doing it. Look at when now you're here. So okay,
yeah,
so you talked a little bit about imposter syndrome, and again, if you know, there's I think imposter syndrome is a normal thing to pop into your mind every once in a while. As just as a human, it's just like a normal like wait, am I good enough? And they're like, oh yeah, I am. I can do this. And that's normal, right? I think that kind of ups and downs, and as you're getting into something new and having new experiences. But there had to have been a time like, okay, let me ask you this, and why did you even apply to the provincial team? Because if you're not taking it seriously, like I don't know, like I don't know, just for fun, there had to have been some desire within you to pursue it. Otherwise, you know, unless you tell me that someone just filled out the application for you and like it
no,
was a dare or something.
no, no, and like, yeah, I guess I did take it seriously then. I think I was like, I'm gonna apply, but I'm not gonna get a call. Like, if I get a call,
Yeah.
like that's crazy. But like, I think I just wanted to see where I was at. Like after doing it for however many years at that point, like
Mm.
I want to put my name in there and see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And because I think even at that time, like I don't know if Basketball Manitoba even knew, like they probably knew me in passing maybe from some stuff, but I don't know if I was like in the Basketball Manitoba world in a sense, like that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
idea.
Yeah.
And I think I just wanted to start that connection, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say
Interesting.
by that point I was probably taking it serious. I was
I,
taking it
I
seriously.
was
I
gonna
just
say.
yeah, I just don't know when that
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah. Somewhere in those years, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm getting. It seems like from the way you tell it, it was probably when you kind of kept going with that group, and you're at Morden, and you're like, you know, you're in the fit of it, and you're like building a program almost, right? You're developing
Yeah.
kids and building those connections that you said are so important to you. You know, it's kind of through that nurturing that you
Yeah.
probably develop that passion to like keep helping people and keep coaching and keep, you know, developing programs. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a big thing. Like I yeah, I moved up with those boys and we just kept working like camps in the spring and the fall and like throughout the summer and like they probably pushed me more than I pushed them. Like
Mhm.
if they didn't want to keep working out and keep pursuing it, I don't know if I think I wanted to be better for them.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I was giving oh that yeah. I remember thinking like I want to do provincial team and I want to do all these things because I want to bring all this info back to Morden
Got
is
it.
what I was thinking at the time is like I want to give these kids the best opportunity they can because not a lot of them are going to play club. Like they're not going to drive to the city for more training. Like I'm kind of all they got.
Mhm.
So I'm going to make the best opportunity for them.
Yeah, for sure. So then you thought, hey, if I go learn this knowledge, get into that circle, then I can take that knowledge, bring it back, and then help them out, help them learn some stuff.
Right.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. So that group there, hey,
Yeah.
they're the
Yeah.
ones. They were the ones they were dragging you. Come on, we need you. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
And now you're here. This is great though. I mean, this is what I was saying. Like, I love hearing the story. I think I started off. I don't know if we were online or offline when I said this, but like, I'm like, I don't know anything about you. Like, we've not met, and but it's interesting in hearing you tell your whole story. There's people that I've met that I didn't know their story, so I don't even know why that's relevant. Like there's people I've hung out with, coached against, they've coached me. I didn't know their stories. Like the stuff you're telling me now, I find out about them, and so it's always cool to hear the reason why somebody is giving their time, their effort, their energy, their passion to basketball, because it's likely going to be a little bit different for everyone. But that's an interesting one. Just being there for these boys that they said they needed you. That's super cool. I love that. So provincial team, you're obviously provincial team for 2 years, right? And then that was 19, you said? So did the
Yeah, like I did 16U in 2019, then
yeah,
COVID, and
yeah.
then the last 2 summers, 22 and 23, I was
Okay.
assistant coach for 17U.
Okay. So this is like three years essentially you've been doing, and then this is your fourth year with the provincial team program.
This year will be third, and next year will be fourth.
Okay, okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, because you did the 1 year, but then there was a no year that kind of got canceled, and then the year before. Okay, got it. Okay, that makes sense. And then taking it a step further, you're helping out at U of M.
Yeah.
You're not serious though. It's okay. You're just doing it. But what's how long have you been doing that for?
Just this year. So I moved
Okay.
from Morden. I moved from Morden last summer,
Yep.
and yeah, then joined staff in the last fall.
Okay. Okay. And how was your first U Sports season as an assistant?
It was amazing.
Yeah,
I wasn't there. Obviously, I wasn't there as much as I would like,
of course. Yeah.
coaching a varsity team at the same time, but the learning experience was awesome. Like to watch Michele Sung work is amazing.
Nice, nice. So you're just learning a ton.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's awesome. That's super good. And so you hold on. So you were with Eric, and then yeah, okay. So you, you must be pretty close with the family then, I'm guessing.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Their second child is the same age as my kid too.
Okay.
So
Oh, nice. Okay, okay.
yeah,
So then, that connection there, that's cool.
yeah, yeah. I joke to my husband that I'm always talking to one of the Sungs at all times.
Yeah, I would guess, right? That's no, that's too good. Interesting. So then, are you? By the way, I was with a friend of mine, Colton Gribba, and they're doing the 3-on-3 thing. Did you put a team in that?
No,
Oh, you
the
didn't.
plan is for next year.
Next year? Okay, nice,
Yeah,
nice. Yeah,
yeah,
no, that'll be good. That'll be good. He was pretty excited about it, and I'm like, I have a big 3x3 background, and so to see us doing that for me is pretty cool. I love that sport. Super
yeah,
exciting, fast paced. So that was just an aside. I was just curious. I'm like, oh, maybe you have a team in there. So you said virtual team tryouts are in May.
yeah. Last weekend of May.
Okay, and then what's the remind me of the? It's been a long time since I've been in a virtual team. Is it still like same thing? You got all the courts and like there's stations, and that's still the pretty much standard setup for a virtual team tryout, or has it changed?
Yeah, like it's 3 tryouts. Kids are guaranteed two,
Okay,
and yeah, we're at Sport for Life. We get all 3 courts.
nice.
Uh, kind of, I'm taking what Eric did last year and having a coach run. I'm actually having Eric run the first 2 sessions, just
Okay,
so my coaching staff and I can just watch and not have to
yeah.
do double duty there. I saw Eric do that last year with Nick Lothar, and I thought that was really smart.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like that. That is really smart.
Yeah,
And then you can just kind of kick back and said walk around, check things out. You can talk to each other and like
yeah,
yeah, I really like that. And then so then the third tryout is just that's when you start to kind of cut people, and then have a third one is like
yeah. You would make your first cuts after the second tryout. Usually that'd be like Saturday evening, and then those last kids come on Sunday, and then usually you'd make your roster
okay,
uh, end of the tryout.
okay. So do you have any nerves about that being like the head coach now?
Yeah, a little bit. Like I think when you're an assistant, you obviously want to help, and but you can always have the mindset like I don't have to have the final say. Like I can put my 2 cents in, and if you don't want it, like no skin off my back. Like I'm not the one that has to make the hard decisions at the end of the day. So to kind of switch to that mindset
Yeah,
this year, I think,
yeah.
yeah, It'll
that'll
be
be fun. It'll be a nice challenge.
yes, yeah.
Learn something new. Is the schedule out? Like, do you have any trips planned? Like where you guys playing? The States, Western
Yeah,
Canada?
no trips to the States.
Okay.
It sounds like it'll just be local, playing U of M, playing U of W.
Okay.
We have a huge amount of alumni that'll come back home that are playing in other provinces.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
there'll be lots of high level players to play against locally too.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, yeah. No, it's gonna be exciting, exciting. I love the parental team is just such like fun. I have fond memories as a player, as a coach, and so and then you get to go to the Canada Games in a couple of years, which is like multi-sport stuff is super awesome. So that's gonna be hopefully a good 2 years, and like you'll grow some more and all that good stuff. So yeah, no, that's good. It's super good. I want to ask you, we're getting kind of close to the end here. But you mentioned one story about Cheryl that was pretty good, the airport story. I like to ask just like random stuff, like just direct questions. And so whatever comes to mind, if you're like, I don't got one, just say pass. But so the first question I have for you is we'll actually just start with that. What is your funniest or some of the funny basketball stories that take place? And it doesn't have to be during the game. It could be like the Cheryl story. Where she was mad at you for rolling your ankle and you telling her that we don't go to the doctor. That's amazing, by the way. She probably lost her mind. So yeah. So do you have any funny stories that come to mind?
Oh,
They can all be Cheryl stories if you want. It's fine. I'm all for that.
well, I do have an embarrassing one, which that's fine.
Let's hear it.
I was a very clumsy kid. I still am pretty clumsy. And in grade 9, I was still figuring out my body and running down the court, tripped on my own feet, just ate it, like nose to the hardwood. Ref calls a
Um,
foul. There's
Wait,
no
hold
one
on, on
around.
you? Or
No,
just
no, on someone
like you have the
that like
ball
they
though?
thought that I got tripped. Nope, I
Oh,
was
wow.
just running, and they called a foul on someone. I'm pretty sure I was just running by myself.
You tripped over your own feet.
Tripped over my own feet. Had to go to the bathroom because I had a full bloody nose. Um, yeah,
Wow. Good times.
yeah,
Good times.
full klutz.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
The battle of being a lanky, uncoordinated kid.
yeah, yeah. No, I don't know if I got nothing
Anything,
really.
and nothing else from Cheryl. You just had the one in the gun and like,
That's the one that really sticks out. Kind of burned the rest away.
yeah. I just love that you talked back to her. That's amazing. That's
Well,
so
I don't
good.
know if I did. I probably just, I don't
I,
know,
I don't know. It
mumbled under
sounds like
my
you.
breath.
Wow, she heard you. Okay, so let's switch then. Like, do you have what's your most memorable basketball moment, story, situation that stands
The
out?
team that I am like gonna remember forever is they're called my what if team, and they were the boys that they're my COVID year.
Mm,
So we win interzone against Nealon. We're off to provincials. We were ranked in the top 10 all year on MHSAA. Like for Morden, this was like big for us.
hmm.
And we win interzone, and the next week is provincials. And like COVID gets announced,
Yeah,
but it
yeah,
starts to become a thing on like the Monday,
yeah,
and the boys are like, they're not going to do anything about provincials, are they? And at the time, like you're so naive about the whole
yeah,
situation. I'm like,
yeah,
there's no way.
yeah,
Like it's just a thing in another country. Like
yeah. You don't know.
just calm down. And then like the next day, the world gets shut down.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and like
tough.
so they were always the kids that are like, I'm like, well, what could have happened there?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Sure. So it was a pretty talented group then.
I think so. Like,
Yeah.
um, I didn't think we were gonna win it all, but definitely maybe like third or something in that line. Like,
Hmm.
I think we were in the mix for sure, and
Hmm.
it probably would have been the best Morden had done since they became AAA. That
Okay,
kind of
so
thing.
did Morden move up to AAA from double A or
They were,
single A before?
yeah, they were always AAA while I was there.
Okay.
But previous to that, yeah, they were double A.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
got you. Got you. So you're competing. AAA is no joke. Like it's
Yeah, I find
not
AAA
easy.
is a funny situation because you're competing against high school, or sorry, Winnipeg kids,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then you also have AAA rule teams.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a weird one. There could almost be within AAA like tiers because it's just like you can't. It's such a mixed bag.
right.
Like some of the AAA teams can compete with like 4A teams, and then like it's just a mix. It's
Yeah.
so such an interesting. You know this better than me. So. But okay, so memorable, I guess. Like, what if I guess is that team the COVID year team.
Yeah.
And so then what happened the year after? Did like some of the kids grad? Because I know they had a partial season the year after. Or was it a
No,
year?
they're
No, that
the
was the
year
full year.
after.
It was wiped.
Right. Right.
Oh man, yeah. And so were there a lot of players from that year as well that like would have played the following year?
Yeah, like we had a lot of grade 12s that COVID year, or like
Mm,
the year that they cut it short.
yeah.
So the following year I only had like a couple grade 11s that were
Okay.
like we would have been rebuilding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not like they missed a double opportunity. We're so good, and virtuals got canceled. But okay. So I like to finish with a piece of advice, right? And so you have a very unique experience. Not to say that I've never interviewed anyone who's coached rurally, because like from rural I have, but I would say you're probably the youngest because most of them are like old school, like they've been around for longer than me. Some of the ones I've interviewed before. So I think you maybe have a different experience, different perspective. So I like to do like a hypothetical, like if we imagine that you are now, and again, you're kind of are in a sense now you're entering into these places as a head coach of a provincial team and doing these types of things. So you may actually have this moment at some point. But the question is if you were in front of a team, a group of young coaches, and like we'll say rural coaches specifically, and you wanted them to leave, you're giving like a speech, uh, and you want them to leave that room with 1 to 3 pieces of advice because they're not going to remember everything. You can tell your story, you can tell them all sorts of stuff. Oh, here's the top 10 things. They're not going to remember, right? But typically, like you want to leave someone with like a lasting, like one thing that they can take from them, right? So I'd like to say 1 or 3. So what would be those pieces of advice that you would pass on to those rural coaches who, are maybe new to the game of coaching, like they're like you and you were 18, knew nothing, and you want them to walk out of that presentation with what pieces of advice would you give them?
Big one would be to push yourself outside your comfort zone. So I talked about me as a kid who turned around at provincial team tryouts, that I was that coach for a very long period of time. Like
Mm,
I stayed in my bubble, I learned on my own, and I was really scared to go anything beyond that. So even applying for the first provincial team job was like, didn't expect a call back, didn't like I was really terrified to do that.
mm,
Um, so you won't know until you try, like whether that's going to the super coaches clinic or talking to another coach. That's the kind of goes hand in hand with that is learning as much as you can, pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, but then having mentors that you can talk basketball with on a regular basis. And like you can just send them a message, not even like a hey, how are you? It's just like, what do you think of this? And you send them a clip. And you
mm.
know they're not gonna sugarcoat things, like they're gonna tell you how it is. A lot of the people that I have as mentors in my life don't sugarcoat, and I really appreciate that about them. Because I want to know if I'm doing something right or wrong,
Mm.
and I want to know right away. Like I don't want you to walk around it. Like just tell me.
Mm.
So yeah, I guess it would be push yourself outside your comfort zone, get some mentors that
Nice.
you can appreciate and learn.
Love it. I love it. Well, on that note, I appreciate your time. And for anyone who runs into Ashley and you're scared to say her last name, Hoitink, right?
Yep.
No more mistakes. But no, for real though, I really appreciate your time, hearing your story, and looking forward to seeing some success for Team Manitoba and just you you obviously were hired for a reason. You obviously have good intentions, which is super important. I can see that. I speak in talking to some of the legends in our game, and you already have that right mindset, which is super key. So like, I think that's the one thing that you can learn X's and O's and things change and all that stuff forever. But like the mindset that you have, or like the intention that you have with regards to like doing the right thing for the kids and all that, is if you keep that at the top, like you're always going to have success, and see that in you. So I'm looking forward to seeing your development within Basketball Manitoba community.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Okay. Take care.
Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. Please like, subscribe, follow, and share this series, and reach out to us with your comments on the show. Thanks again for joining us.